Have you ever considered the quiet power of the night? As the world outside grows still, your mind embarks on a remarkable journey. It's a process science calls memory consolidation, a nightly ritual where the brain sorts through the day's experiences, carefully preserving what matters and gently letting go of what doesn't. This isn't magic, it's biology. And by listening as you drift towards sleep, you are tapping directly into this ancient, powerful system, allowing these ideas to root themselves more deeply in your memory. For the next few minutes, simply relax and let your mind do what it does best. Have you ever walked away from a conversation feeling completely misunderstood? Or watched someone get a promotion and felt that strange, sinking feeling in your stomach even though you wanted to be happy for them? We all wear masks. We present a carefully constructed version of ourselves to the world, hoping to navigate the complexities of social life. But what if you could see behind the mask not just in others, but in yourself? Tonight, we explore the profound and sometimes unsettling insights from Robert Greene's masterwork, The Laws of Human Nature. This isn't a manual for manipulation. Think of it as an X-ray for the human soul, a diagnostic tool to understand the hidden forces that drive us all. We'll use Greene's framework as a launchpad to explore real-world events, decoding the invisible scripts that dictate our lives. Stay with me. Chapter 1. The Gravity of the Group. Our journey begins in the spring of 1961, in the highest offices of American power. A newly elected president, John F. Kennedy, is faced with a monumental decision. The CIA presents a plan. A force of 400 trained Cuban exiles will land at a remote spot in Cuba called the Bay of Pigs. They believe this small spark will ignite a nationwide fire of rebellion, toppling Fidel Castro's new regime. The plan was presented by the nation's most brilliant minds, but it was built on a foundation of fantasy. The planners assumed the Cuban people would rise up, ignoring Castro's immense popular support. They assumed a force of 400 men could defeat an army of 200. They assumed the landing zone, a treacherous swamp, was a viable staging ground for a revolution. The invasion was a catastrophe. The exiles were met not by cheering crowds, but by Castro's waiting army. The promised U.S. air support was withdrawn at the last minute. Within 3 days, more than 100 invaders were dead, and over 1,000 were captured. Kennedy was left to wonder, how could we have been so stupid? The answer lies in a powerful force that Robert Greene identifies as the law of conformism. The psychological term for it is groupthink. Kennedy's inner circle was composed of incredibly intelligent individuals. His advisor, the historian Arthur Schlesinger Jr., later wrote that he was appalled by the plan, but kept his objections quiet. Why? Because in that room, the desire for consensus became more important than critical thinking. The group developed an illusion of invulnerability, a shared belief that they could not fail. Dissent was subtly suppressed. Those with doubt censored themselves to avoid disrupting the harmony. The core lesson here is that even the brightest minds will sacrifice their own judgment at the altar of group harmony. The desire to belong is a primal force that can disable our rational faculties. Think of a group as a powerful gravitational field. The closer you get to the center, the more it bends your own judgment. until you're simply orbiting the consensus, unable to see in a straight line. So, how do we escape this pull? It starts by recognizing the forces that operate not just in groups, but within ourselves. One of the most powerful and dangerous of these is comparison. And that brings us to our next key. Chapter 2. The poison of comparison. We've all felt it. A friend announces their engagement. A colleague gets the job you wanted, and you feel that immediate gut punch. It's a complex cocktail of emotions. But at its heart is envy. It's a feeling we're taught to be ashamed of, a secret we keep locked away. The common mistake we make is twofold. We either let that envy fester in the dark, where it turns into resentment, or we try to combat it by broadcasting our own successes, projecting an image of effortless achievement. But this often backfires. This display of what researchers call hubristic pride or arrogance doesn't inspire others. It often triggers malicious envy, in them the secret desire to see us fail. But what if there's another way? This brings us to a fascinating discovery. In 2016, a Princeton professor named Johannes Haushofer did something radical. He published his CV of failures. It was a list of every degree program that had rejected him, every academic position he didn't get, every research grant that was denied. The solution he stumbled upon is profound. By revealing his struggles, Haushofer completely reframed the perception of his success. It was no longer seen as something magical or unearned. It was humanized. This simple act of vulnerability had a powerful effect. It transformed potential malicious envy into benign envy. People were no longer tempted to pull him down. They were motivated to learn from his resilience. He had built a bridge, not a pedestal. The takeaway is this. The antidote to the poison of comparison isn't to pretend success doesn't matter. It's to reveal the humanity behind it. But this requires a wide perspective, something that's easily lost when we're trapped by fear, which is exactly what happened to one of the world's most iconic companies. Chapter 3. The danger of the narrow lens. I'm going to make a bold statement. The greatest threat to a successful company isn't its competition, it's its own success. We're taught to believe that innovation is about having the best ideas. But what if I told you that the company with the very best idea was the one that was ultimately destroyed by it? This is the story of Kodak. In 1975, a young Kodak engineer named Steve Sasson invented the world's first digital camera. It was a revolutionary breakthrough. Kodak held the future in its hands. But instead of embracing it, they buried it. Why? Because Kodak's leadership was trapped by what Greene calls the law of narrow vision. They were so focused on their incredibly profitable film business that they saw this new technology not as an opportunity, but as a threat that would cannibalize their sales. For over a decade, as competitors like Sony and Canon raced to develop digital technology, Kodak's management argued that film was superior, that customers would always prefer a physical print. This wasn't a failure of intelligence, it was an emotional failure. It was a failure of perspective, driven by the fear of letting go of their identity and the short-term profits that came with it. They were so afraid of losing what they had, they failed to grasp what they could become. By the time they finally entered the digital market, it was too late. The company that had defined photography for a century filed for bankruptcy in 2012. The fear that paralyzed Kodak wasn't a fear of the new technology itself. It was the fear of leaving the safety of the past. It was the fear of change. Breaking free from a narrow vision requires more than just seeing the future. It requires the courage to act on it, to lead from a place that is true to a deeper purpose, even when it's painful. This is the heart of authentic leadership, and our final law explores where that authenticity truly comes from. Chapter 4. The Mask and the True Self. There's a secret to the most compelling leaders. It isn't their charisma or their flawless track record. It's their scars. There's a concept in leadership studies called the crucible story. A crucible is a severe test, a transformative life experience that forges a leader's true purpose. Authentic leadership, Greene would argue, isn't about playing a pre-written role or being perfect. It's about integrating the lessons from your hardest moments and leading from that place of truth. Our journey ends with the story of Howard Schultz. Before he built the Starbucks empire, he was a kid from the projects in Brooklyn. His crucible moment came when his father, a truck driver, slipped on a patch of ice, breaking his hip and ankle. In an instant, his father lost his job, his income, and his health insurance. Schultz never forgot the image of his father, defeated and stripped of his dignity. That deep-seated memory became the driving force of his life. And here is the simple, three-step formula that emerged from it, shaping the very DNA of Starbucks. 1. He was determined to build a company that his father would have been proud to work for. 2. He insisted on offering comprehensive health benefits and stock options to all employees, even part-timers, something unheard of at the time. 3. He envisioned Starbucks not just as a coffee shop, but as a third place, a community hub between work and home that fosters connection and respect. This wasn't a marketing slogan. It was the direct, authentic expression of values forged in adversity. By embracing your authentic nature, shaped by your unique journey, you stop playing a role that society wrote for you. You start leading from your true north. You build trust, you inspire loyalty, and you create something that lasts. And as you let these ideas settle, let's prepare the mind for rest. Tonight, we've gathered a few tools for your mental toolkit. The wisdom to question the consensus of the group. The strategy to transform the poison of envy into a bridge of connection. The courage to widen your perspective beyond fear. And the power that comes from leading from your own authentic story. As you drift off to sleep tonight, don't try to remember everything. Just choose one of these ideas. Let it float in your mind. Your subconscious will do the rest. And now, the work is done. The learning is complete. It is time to let go, to rest, and to allow your mind to integrate, to heal, and to grow. Let these words be a gentle guide into a deep and restorative sleep. Breathe in and out. My mind is calm and clear. I release the day. I welcome the night. I see the world and the people in it with understanding. I release the need for comparison. My path is my own. My journey is unique and valuable. I have the courage to see beyond the immediate moment. I embrace change as a path to growth. My experiences have shaped my strength. I lead with my true self. Each night, my mind sorts and learns. I wake up wiser. Rest now. Your mind knows what to do. You are safe. You are at peace. Letting go. Drifting. Deeper and deeper into restorative sleep. Sleep